Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Brian. In today's video, we're going to continue working on our bathroom remodel project. First video, we ripped out the vanity, which caused us to remove all the floor tile, put down new subfloor, cement board, and floor tile. So now that that's done, I still need to do trim. We'll need to replace baseboard, etc. But the whole purpose of this project was to install a vanity, I hate it when people point, a 2-sink vanity in place of the original vanity from the house circa 1980. The vanity for right now lives here in our guest bedroom. So there's 2 sinks. There'll be 2 sinks replacing what was originally a 1-sink vanity. So in order to do this correctly, you need to dig open that wall, the drywall, and see what I need to do to the plumbing to make it correct. First off, we need to remove this mirror. Okay, let go of it a little bit. Now pick up. It should just pick up out of this. So now that that's gone, I'll have to lay out where the actual water connection and the drain connection for the 2 vanities are going to be, so we can figure out what we need to do, where we need to cut the wall. So we put the vanity on some furniture sliders, got it in the bathroom, kind of selected what we want our position to be, and I have marked where the center line of the plumbing will be. So now I'll slide this back out of the way and we'll figure out how we're going to cut this wall open. Marked center line of the plumbing on both sinks. Near as I can tell, there's a stud right here, and this vanity is going to come up right in this vicinity of the top, so we can leave this trim. I marked it with a level line both directions, so I'm going to cut it there to start with and pull this drywall out. And this sort of general purpose blade and my oscillating tool, just cut it out with that. So there's what we had to work with. Water supply, the drain, the vent. So where that clean out was located between the 2 cabinets was completely useless before. So now I need to get in my head straight. Splitting up the water supply should be pretty straightforward. I just need to move those over, tee them off, supply the other side. Yeah, I'd say that was a little tight in there. Nice. next to the crawl space and turn the water off. We'll try this without a microphone because apparently they're all dead. So water should be off. Let me go to the tub and drain it down. Anyway, there's not pressure flying out, so that's as off as it's going to get for right now. We'll do the cold side. Not quite sure why the hot's still dripping, but just let that drip for a minute. Got a tubing cutter. I'll go ahead and just cut this one off because I kind of want it to be a little bit lower than the cold. So we'll just cut it down here. So I went to the downstairs bathroom and turned the hot on. That drained that out. So there we go. We'll do a T there. And then we'll come across. Well, I'm going to have to notch this out. And then notch these studs, because ideally we want the hot to end up all the way over there. And while we're here on that subject, we'll go ahead and cut this little piece of drywall out. That's a little bit unfortunate. There's an electrical outlet right behind that, but hopefully we can work around that. So with this T over here, I kind of marked up my piece. I'm going to go across, and I've marked where I need to cut the 2x4 out. So I got the oscillating tool, and there we go. Really just need to notch it. Be plenty to clear the pipe. So I'm going to run into a little bit of a conundrum. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. If this pipe runs straight across for the hot, I'm going to run into the cold over here, and I think I knew that, so I can just force it back kind of behind it a little bit and then run the cold above it. I mean, it won't be ideally lined up in the cabinet for the shutoffs, but who cares? So I think initially, to get this out of the way, I'm just going to unsweat this solder joint right here. I figured I might show you that one. Get something here to hold it off the wall a little bit. So I can't seem to have a charged battery anywhere, but keep one in for the microphone or the camera, but I unsweated that piece. I did get all new valves, etc. I'm sure everybody knows this. Where am I? I'm sure everybody knows this, but you want to clean up your copper pipe with some emery cloth, sandpaper, whatever you have. Just get the oxidation off of it. I've done that. Done it inside the T's. And I actually need to clean up this pipe a little more. I make tools for this, little wire brush thing. You could use that as well. So you just pretty much want shiny copper like that. And you want a tight fit. So then I'll cut another piece about 7 or so inches long. Again, a tubing cutter. Makes a nice round cut. You don't want to cut it with a hacksaw or something because it's going to egg shape this pipe, and then if the rare instance you can actually get it in the fitting, it's probably going to leak. This way it keeps it nice and round. And then once it gets through here, we put a 90 on it to bring it out of the wall. Apply some flux to this clean stub and all the surfaces inside this T. And this can go on. I've already soldered this elbow on, so we can go ahead and flux it. It's a little warm right now. Get it stubbed in the wall. Same thing with this long one. Now we can solder this joint all at one shot without, the hope would be without melting this pipe behind it. But this is actually going to go away anyway. We're going to extend this across over here for the drain. So I'm going to have to kind of revisit my plan for the cold and probably lower it below there, but that'll be fine. So let's get this knocked out. Hopefully I can direct the flame sort of away from the pipe, the drain pipe. The idea is you just heat the fitting. And that flux will melt away and give you a clean surface for the solder to stick. I'll just try a dab and see if it'll suck it in. Doesn't take much. I'm always nervous about this, so I always feel like I probably put on more than I need to. Went ahead and temporarily I bought an extra coupling, so I stuck the cold water supply valve just back on so I can turn the water back on. But before I do that, before I turn it on, I got new valves for all of them. I mean, I needed to add two anyway, but I was able to replace them, replace the existing. They didn't have sweat on like this. They only had the compression style, which maybe, I mean, that's all they make anymore. And you just want it close to vertical. And then these are actually quarter turn shut off and not the multi-turn. We'll give that a shot. So it's the next day. Well, I pretty much accomplished yesterday. I was recording a bunch of bad video, wasn't really into it. And kind of had to cut it short to get the water back onto the house. So I feel a little more refreshed today. So here we go. So I did the hot water line, which I think will work out. And I was going to do the cold water line, which is going to require a T. Moving the cold over here, T'ing it, bringing it above or below, and ending it over here. They won't end up at the same elevation where they come through the drywall, but one below, one above, I mean, that'll be fine. In this situation, they could be the same height because they're not crossing over. I'm afraid I'm going to box myself into a corner doing that, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to work on the plumbing and the venting. So I've got a plan. Instead of explaining it, I'll just kind of do it. A little more explanation to my logic. I'll extend this drain line over to this side of the stud, turn it up with a long sweep like this, and then we'll put a sanitary T in there. So this will come over and then this will come out to the sink. But if I follow this elevation of the existing pipe, it's going to put this really close to the sink drain and get in the trap and all that. It's going to be kind of, could be problematic. So plus then I'll need to run the vent up into the drywall. So the plan is I'm going to cut this drywall out at 48 inches. There should be a seam there already to expose this so we can get kind of eyes on everything. And then I'll cut this vent pipe down here. It'll actually lower it some to bring this down where I can work with it and have enough, get the height but won't be too high on this side. And then we'll put another sanitary T in the vent stack to do the vent. So I can probably just cut that amount, so I need to get rid of that amount anyway. So theoretically that'll work. Possibly I can put that back. So this is up 48 from the finished floor, but I think the seam, because this drywall went all the way to the floor, is more in this area. So I'm going to dig around a little bit to find the seam, then I'll mark it and cut it, and then we should have a clean break. All right, I can feel the joint right in there. I think I have a plan mentally prepared in my head. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this pipe, kind of this vicinity, and then we'll work over that way. Next, when you find the appropriate spot on this stud over here and hole saw through it, put a coupling on this piece of pipe, bring that pipe into this next bay over here. Ideally, if I had enough time, I would have just blown all this away and cut it off, run the drain, and then run the supply back, but gotta kind of keep things back together at the end of the day. I got a late start yesterday, so that's where we want the bottom of our hole to be, or actually the top of our hole, in that vicinity. And drill with a hole saw is probably not going to fit in here, so I'll need to transfer these marks around to this side. We can do it from over here. I have this hole saw kit, which comes in pretty handy. So this being a street elbow, this is the size of the pipe. Or I can use the piece I cut out as an example. So this hole saw, larger than the hole, should make it fit. The next size down is slightly larger, but I don't want to risk it, so And we're starting to get a little sewer gas back through there, so plug that. This is a 2 1/4. If you've never used a hole saw, this style at least, has a threaded hole and these kind of 4 pinholes, and then this arbor. There are some that don't have the holes, just the really small ones only have the threaded hole. But once they get larger, they'll have an array of pinholes. So at least with this style, you can screw it in, kind of line up the pins, if that'll show up, into the holes, and then it'll. So once you get it screwed down flush, you go inside, and you probably have to back it up a little bit to get the holes to line up with the pins on the arbor. And then you screw down this top part of the nut, and that engages the pins in there, gives it something to push on. Otherwise, you can strip the threads out in the hole saw or get it stuck where it'll never come off. So I'll just go in here and kind of eyeball up the center of the stud. I'll go ahead and start. So I tried to straighten that bit and it snapped right off. So a regular 1/4" bit is in there. That looks pretty good. That's what you got to watch with a hole saw. It'll want to grab. So what's happening now is I'm running into the inside part of what holds the bit, so it won't go any deeper. I can't really go in from this side unless I dig out my right angle drill to finish it. We'll just cheat a little bit and see if this will pop out. So there, pop that slug out. We should be able to go all the way through now. Unfortunately, that was all it lacked. So we can test fit, make sure we're going to fit. Oh yeah, we're good. So we're going to run this pipe across through this hole we just did, and we want the center of our turn to be in this vicinity. It's not super critical, so let's see where we end up. I mean, that's going to put the part of the coupling in the wall. We could come slightly out here, and that'll stub the pipe through, and then we'll have room to get this fitting on. So I think we'll do that. So there's a piece 10 3/4. We'll just deburr. Take some of the little cut flash off of it. You can about do it with your hand. We'll take some more of this emery cloth. Sand little dingleberries off the outside. Just kind of scuff up each end. Need to do this to the piece in the wall too. And the coupling, this is like any PVC pipe's the same thing. Same principle anyway, different material. Just kind of scuff up the surface. Let's probably make sure it all fits. Make sure you don't have any jagged edges in here. This is the last place you want them. I mean, a bathroom sink shouldn't catch too much debris. All right, then we have a pack of multi-purpose cement and primer. You, in theory, can leave the cans in the box, but you can never open them. It says it'll do ABS also. I've used cement before that was strictly for ABS. Didn't see any of that today. And the first time, these never open. Put the primer definitely on a piece of cardboard. I don't want to drip this all over my nice fresh tile. Tile would probably be okay. I'm pretty sure the grout would soak it up like crazy. Be sure to put primer and cement on both parts. Otherwise, all the trolls in the comments have a conniption. Brush that in there. Good coverage. Good coverage. And the part you're gluing to. And then just jam it on. I like to give it a little twist. And then just hold it. Because that action of the cement between the two pieces, if you don't hold it, especially on the smaller the pipe gets, it seems like the quicker it pushes it off. So you probably want to hold this for 20 seconds or so. And then it should be good and solid. Now we can do the same thing with this pipe. Go through here. Send it home, hold it and twist it, and then just hold. Probably can't see this, but stub through. Next, we want this long sweep on here. Make sure it's going to fit. I think it'll be good. We're pretty close to our target center line. So, you want to make sure you use a long sweep, something that's drained. This short sweep here is actually made for venting, so don't get the two confused. Could have problems, could not, who knows. So get this on here. So this is a little bit critical. You want to make sure this is horizontal, or horizontal, vertical this direction. We can get it in here. I don't know where my little tiny torpedo level is, but this one's good enough for now. So again, we'll hold that. And that shouldn't go anywhere. Next up, we've got actually this sanitary tee, I believe it's called. I'm sure somebody will correct me if it's not. So I'm going to cut a short piece of pipe. So we can go ahead and put this in the wall right here, and then that's where our sink drain will connect to the trap, etc. Let's see where we ended up. We're about 22.5 to the center of the pipe, and that should be good. Here goes on this one. I've already glued the short piece into the fitting. You're going to want to kind of parallel this up to the wall so it comes out straight when you put the trap on. It's not super critical, and that trap will take up if it's at a little bit of an angle. So now we'll just hold that. And then also keep in mind this cold water supply. It's going to be relocated. So now we'll move to this side. I'm going to cut into this 2-inch stack, or the drain stack right here. And then we'll put this 2.5 inch T in. And then it's going to immediately turn out of the wall, just kind of like the other side, and that's where our drain, our trap adapter will go into there. So this presents a few challenges. I'm gonna have to hog out some of this 2x4 to get this put in here. And there's wiring back here, but I think we'll be clear of that. So again, we'll use the multi-tool, oscillating tool, whatever you want to call it. See if we can't dig some of this out before we dig into the plumbing, so to speak. So that may or may not be enough. That'll show up. That was as much as it hogged out because that was pretty much the depth of my cut. So I can cut a little bit more now that I've made some clearance. So I think should clear what we need to do. At least cut it and test fit it. While we're here with the oscillating tool, we'll see if it'll cut this PVC without shaking the house to pieces, or this black ABS pipe. Possibly this pipe might just lift up, but it's not going to lift much. So it'll lift enough, hopefully, to get the fitting in. So this is what's going to happen in here. This is a street elbow, so it doesn't have a bell on one end. It just it'll go into a female on the other. And there's actually a mark on here that says 1.5 inches, and there's a flashing mark where they made it. Since it's going to be hard to get all this in here at one time or in separate pieces, I'm going to go ahead and glue this ahead of time and use those marks to line it up. All right, here goes. Again, I'm going to square this up coming out of the wall. I think that'll be pretty good. We cleared enough out so we're not going to rub on any wood. So that drains is essentially roughed in. We'll put the trap adapter on and come out there. This drains good over to here. Now we need to extend this vent up across the wall and tie into the stack over here. At least all the research I've done has told me that. So, and I've also seen where you need to be 42 inches up, or at least 42 inches up, to clear all the sink in case it all backs up. And I'm not really sure exactly the reasoning, but anyway, we're gonna come up to this vicinity and we'll be plenty good. Probably keep it below here where any drywall screws will be, because we're gonna have to hole saw through here. At least it's 1.5 inch pipe. So I might as well go ahead and hole saw the 2 holes in there, and I can use the same size as earlier, because we'll be doing this all 1.5 inch pipe. And this does not have to be perfect, but you do want to pitch the drain. You don't want the drain or the vent line pitching uphill from the drain back to where it drops in, because it could conceivably get water in it from rain, etc., and fill that up and act like a trap. So this is going to want to pitch down just a little bit. So I'll just line up over here on the center, kind of at the bottom my mark, try to be in the center of the stud. And that's how lithium-ion drill batteries operate. I was getting a little bit irritated at these batteries, but at least these DeWalt batteries appear to have the date on them. So this one's 2016. Yeah, probably not going to get any warranty action out of that one. There's a big boy here. It's a 2019. It has the indicator. Let's see how this does. Let's see how 2023 does. So just on general principle, we'll go from the bottom of that one to where I've marked the bottom of this one. We'll just make sure we got a little pitch. So I'll go a little bit above my line right there. We should be all right. We'll try that. Yeah, a little bit off. Let's go more in the center of the stud. All right. So now that those holes are in there, I can kind of eyeball where I need to cut over here to put this other T in. It should theoretically go like that. So theoretically that'll get through there into this fitting. We'll line it up so it'll hit that hole over there. I want to make sure it's pitched down a little bit. It works pretty well, other than, at least on this ABS, it kind of melts it and leaves some dingleberries on there. So kind of the faster you go, the better off you are. All right, so it has some downhill pitch. I'll go ahead and glue that up. All right. That slipped up a little bit. I think I got it pulled back down in the piece. So we should be good. So here's where it gets tricky. This piece will go in here. I guess I could sort of dry run it. Go in there. Go in there, and that should go down in there. I probably over sanded it, but I'm gonna have to glue. So anyway, this is the vent. This is a sharp 90, so you can use that in a vent because it's just air. And then down to this sanitary tee. So I need to glue all the way from here to here, and I really don't really have a lot of wiggle room to do any of it ahead of time. So I guess I could probably get that out of there. I can go ahead and glue up this piece coming across. These are all prepped. All right, here goes. So with that, the drain should all be roughed in. The provision for that sink drain. Have one for this sink drain. Have the vent run up and above, tied into the vent. And now that piece of pipe, I have that much left, and I'll be able to use those to come out of the wall probably cut that in half, come out of the wall, and then we can put on our trap adapters. But I got the wrong size. So I need to get the traps, and I also need to get the hardware for the sink, the whole strainer, basket assembly, and tailpiece. So for right now, I'll go ahead and, I hate it when people point, I'll go ahead and seal up these for the night so we don't get sewer gas back in here, and then I think we'll hit it hard in the morning.